Hey guys, Coach here. Let's take a walk. Let's take a walk at Brook and Pond. Now that we are back from Kansas, and that video and podcast is coming up next week, we had some tasks that we decided to do before the fall ebbs into winter. And obviously winter here is sometime right around the beginning of November. Now we've had probably a half a dozen temperatures at night below 32 degrees, probably about 8 or 9. The pond actually glassed over a little bit with ice, and we've had our first snow. It wasn't very much, about an inch, but sure did transform this place. But the task that I had ahead of me before winter got too far along was the cleanup of the triangle down by the road. Now, I don't know how you guys feel about disturbing Mother Nature, but when you own a piece of property, I think it is the responsibility of that property owner, especially for something like 2.5 acres, which that's what Brook and Pond is. It's not huge by any means, but it's sure a heck of a lot more than a 60 by 100 foot lot. Do you agree with that? And this particular 2.5 acres, since we moved in last October of 23, you could tell that nothing had ever been done for a very, very long time. A lot of blowdowns, a lot of timber litter, stick litter, leaf litter, and to the point of choking part of the forest off. And so what I did when we got back is I started in with a chainsaw, and I got involved in making things smaller so that I could actually move them to burn piles. And I'm actually taking you down into the forest right now where I've been working for the past few days. And I would say a total area that I'm dealing with down here is probably half an acre, I guess. And the area that I'm working in right now was the second most choked out area of all the property. The southwest corner was horribly bad last year, and I worked all winter long in one form or fashion, bucking up timber, knocking down trees, cutting up blowdowns. And what is left of the most recent project here is the huge snags that I had near the creek, and a lot of the brush and blowdown that had it was horrible. It would just made it look unsafe, and God forbid somebody threw a match or a cigarette or something from the road, because this is right next to the road, which you'll probably hear before this podcast is over. But I didn't want the capability of a fire getting up into the canopy of the good, healthy trees. I wanted a lot of this debris on the ground to be relatively clean, relatively clear. So if something did get going, it wouldn't go very far at all. And I have 2 burn locations, and I have a third one ready to go. It is a very wet, rainy, drizzly day, which really helped douse one of the burn piles. It is 1,000% out. And yesterday's burn down at the creek, I was down here, it burned all night long. I should say kind of smoldered all night long, because I let it die down quite a bit before bedtime. But it is 100% out now. And I raked and cleaned up the creek bed itself, because where I burned was the most open air area down here. And I didn't want to obviously burn directly underneath a canopy. That's just stupid. So I was down in the creek above the water line, and I drug all the burnables to it. And what I did was I just fed it gradually. I had huge piles stacked down in here, but if I threw it all into one pile and tried to burn it, my God, I'd have a conflagration that would have been 20 feet tall and threatening with the heat threatening the trees that are around it. So I just did a little bit at a time. And what I found was, after probably 5 hours worth of work, I have literally opened up this area down here now where you can see this time of year, because a lot of the maple and other stuff are defoliated. So you can see through it, you can walk through it, which is absolutely amazing. You could hardly walk down in here before. And I'm really looking forward to next spring, when the ground covers and other flora that is down in here gets a chance to pop back up through what was just choking before, choking down limbs and trash. And I say trash, I mean forest trash. So our last burn area is almost at the northeasternmost part of the property line. And I have to do a little bit of pruning to limb up some of the area. It's the only place left that I can burn conveniently without dragging stuff, 60, 70, 80 feet to another burn pile. So third and last one up in here. And after the forest dries just a little bit, probably tomorrow, I'll get in and start doing this stuff. And then this triangle will basically be done for the winter. So much more convenient. It almost invites you to come down in here and walk through it now. Now, I don't know how you guys feel. I am a proponent of trying to keep things as natural as possible down here in the forest, and yet at the same time responsible home ownership when it comes to forest safety, property safety, burnables, combustibles, in a manner that is just reckless if you don't take care of it. That's my own personal opinion. I'm not trying to throw that on anybody else. It's just how I feel about it. I come from the Western US, and out there, everything, especially rural, is always about fire safety. I mean, it's a global thing, known that the Western US burns millions of acres every year. And some of it is natural and some of it is not. And I grew up and I have seen throughout all my adult years fires that were just, I'm going to say most of them were going to happen, but some of them did not have to happen. And when I adopted this place as our home, I wanted to make sure that I didn't bring any sort of debris any sort of forest debris into question if something was to get tossed out here and have the chance. So I have limbed trees up to about the 6 to 7 foot level. I have removed a lot of the drape from the spruce trees, as a lot of conifer trees and spruce, pine, fir, as they grow up and the canopy above shades what was the canopy below, they die off and they leave these dry sticks. And most of us know that once a fire gets up into the canopy is where the tragedy really starts. And so if I limb it up, I have a much better chance of not getting stuff up in there. And those drapes, those dead sticks, are just highways to the canopy. So limb them up. Now, have I sacrificed any privacy from the road to the homestead? Nah, not really. Not from the standpoint of someone standing on the road and looking up through the forest. About the only thing that I see right now is my larger cargo trailer in the backyard. Maybe a little bit of the firewood pile. And that's this time of year when everything is, bare. When it's all leafed out, you won't be able to see it again. So down in here, right now I probably have another, I would say, solid 4 to 5 hours, and we're only talking maybe 60 to 70 feet one way and 45 to 50 feet another way, rectangular. And I have that much more work ahead of me. Then I turn to the remaining dead standing timber, big ones. You know, we're talking 8 to 12 inch deads that are up here, and I'm going to fell those and buck them, the side shoots that are dead. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and try and build across the creek a secondary crossing when it comes to the main brook, a just in case type of crossing with these timbers that are going to span about 20 feet from just above the highest of high that I see has ever happened. That way, if something cataclysmic ever happens, we'll have a way to walk out. So hopefully, if it's beyond that, then I'm staying in the house and building a fire and we'll just survive. But there has been history on this property of cataclysmic rains or snowmelt so bad that this main brook has jumped the driveway, washed the driveway out, and has had to be rebuilt. Now, will that happen again? You know, with the rock retaining wall and some of the check dams that I have put in place, I think it's probably less likely, but it could, I guess. It could if you had a hurricane amount of rain, if we suffered the same fate as the mountains of western North Carolina. God bless those folks. I hope everything can be rebuilt, including their lives. But if we had something like that up here, it would take an access point to exit or enter the property if we lost the driveway. So you'd have to park out on the road and walk in. Well, I just, you know, instead of just cutting all this deadfall up, why not use it? All I have to do is clean it up and find the horsepower to drag it over and span that 20-foot area. And I'm just going to notch it out and put it on other timbers on both sides and shove them up against each other, and then either get some dimensional lumber or shave some of the other stuff lengthwise in half to make them a half lengths, and then just deck over the top of it. But for you who are out there with rural property, have you faced this and have you addressed this on your place? Do you have anything of a forested nature, and how have you treated the areas that you don't normally just hang out in, other than just your house area, your immediate house area? How have you approached it, and how have you cared for it, and how have you prevented it? On YouTube, on the channel, I do a fire safety video. It's a little old now, but it's still very, very useful. You might want to check that out. I think from the standpoint of being able to walk through and see through the property down here, the triangle, it's much more enjoyable. And not being boastful in any way, but maybe a little bit of pride comes from the fact that you're taking care of what you own. And that's the whole premise. That's the premise behind everything that I do right now, is being able to help folks and help myself, you know, take care of what God has allowed you to own here on this earth. Whether you're mortgage free or not, it's your responsibility to put your best foot forward as much as you possibly can all the time. and reflect good on your neighbor and your neighborhood and yourself, and an example for how homeowners take care of their places to your children and the next generation of homeowners. And what I have here is an absolute blessing. It's certainly nothing super fancy. It's basic, but it's beautiful. I mean, if you've been able to wrangle a place that has 2 brooks and a pond and privacy from the road and in a beautiful forested setting, my gosh, you know, that's pretty special. That's pretty special in this day and age and this economy and everything else. And Maestro and I don't ever discount the fact of what we have. I have also noticed down in here, at one time in the past, there was some excavation that has allowed drainage from the road and snow melt from the road to be carefully channeled down through. I have secondary drainage channels in here that I didn't even know I had until I started cleaning. And now I see that someone at one time really took some time to, I don't think it was the highway department. It might have been, I don't know. But now I see ditches and sloped drainage swales that once you have a big winter where you have feet of snow piled up on the side of the roadway, when that starts to melt, you have a substantial amount of water to go somewhere. And now I see that it's somewhat controlled. It will go in places that is not gonna just wash areas out and wash them away. And that was kind of neat to find. I did not know those things existed. And this is what you find when you clean up and you expose the forest floor just a little bit. And I think next year, ferns, clintonia, some of the other perennial foresty ground cover plants are gonna start popping in here. And that's really gonna look cool. That's gonna look really cool. So cleaning up this portion of the forest and getting it to a place that's safe still leaves a lot of the natural feel, but ground fires, ease of walking, ease of getting around your property, and keeping it tidy, keeping it natural, but keeping it safe was the whole goal behind this, and I hope that I have achieved it. There's one corner down by the driveway that I think is going to be next spring, and it has a little clutter in it, but it's mostly dogwood and other stuff that I'm just not going to get involved trying to pull that stuff out. I'm just going to get in and pull some of the dead stuff that's in there out, haul it to up the hill burn pile and get rid of it. And it's just going to stay au naturel. Some of the deciduous trees that are down in here, I will probably sculpt just a little bit because they're just rangy. And there's a couple spruce trees that need to be limbed up a little bit to get the dead stuff up off the ground. But so proud of how it looks now. And yesterday's burn really opened my eyes and opened this lower section up tremendously. And you can see over on the channel, you'll see the burn day, and this podcast will be matched up to that burn day. And you can see how I did it just little bits at a time. And then probably tomorrow, or maybe Friday, depending on the weather. It's all about wind. I don't burn if it's over 10 miles an hour. I just don't. Yesterday was just the perfect burn day. It was 0 wind, maybe a mile an hour here and there. But right now with the little bit of rainy afternoon we're having, we probably have winds 5 to 10 miles an hour. I would burn in this only because there is a lot of humidity in the air and also occasional showers. So it would be a very safe burn day, but I'm doing other things, so I'm not doing that right now. So as you check it out and as you look at your own property, whatever size it is, think about how it presents to you as the homeowner. Does it look safe? Does it look tidy? Even if it's not manicured to the level of Biltmore Estates or something, but is it and does it reflect really well on you? And if you answer that question in half a second, then you know you've done your job. If you have to walk around and think about it, then maybe a weekend out there of tidying and a dump run and a few other things might be in order. Clipping here, nipping and tucking there, raking, disposing of, and keeping the place that you have to cut a check for every month, keeping it up to snuff and knowing full well that it's not packed full of dog crap where your kids don't have a nice place to play or a safe place to play. Are the fences in good shape? Is your roof in good shape? Is the lawn in good shape if you have lawn? And what needs to be done? A little punch list put together, which is what I did for the fall. I just looked around and I said, okay, these are the things I want to do before the snow really starts falling. And even when the snow starts falling here, I can still get out and do a lot of things. I just have to crunch through the snow a little bit. And if this winter gives us a lot more snow, which wouldn't be hard because we didn't get much last year, then I can get out there and do more cleaning, especially down on the southwest end. I can get some of that stuff cleaned up even more. And then the forest and the 2.5 acres will be just about cleaned up. I'm not going to go raking up every single leaf or anything. That's just foolish. But maybe get the bridge done this winter. Once the creek freezes a little bit, it makes it really easy to go back and forth. I can work on that. And then we look forward to next year. But I can check off some of the things that we have wanted to do cleanup-wise and be glad that that part of just a little over a year has come to pass and we have a much nicer piece of property. We thought it was pretty special when we first looked at it. And I could see that the house, the driveway, and the interior were kind of already okay. I mean, it definitely needed some lipstick on the outside, but the forest itself was what I saw the biggest challenge. And we have took a bite out of that elephant, one bite at a time. And it's been a little over a year now, just about 13 months. So there you go. That's what I have for you guys this week. Keeping the place that you have tidied up, how you go about it. Do you have a strategy? Do you have a checklist? Please make sure to go over to the website and check out the seasonal checklist that I have for you. The 15-step as far as how to take on a landscape project yourself, and also the book and the home course. I really appreciate your time. I hope you find success in your landscape, and I'll catch you guys next week. Any questions, any needs, whatever you might have, reach out to me, youryardcoach@gmail.com. I'll catch you guys later. Bye for now.